Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We're out here with Loki again because I want to talk today about the basics of breeding rabbits. Some of the things you need to know before you even start. So just a warning, the videos on this particular playlist are recorded all out of order because they are recorded based on what I was doing at the time. So if you're going through this playlist and in one video somebody's pregnant, in another video they had babies, in the video after that they hadn't even been bred yet, that's because I filmed these all out of order. Okay? So today, Loki is pregnant. One of these there's some in the house and some back here. One of these other rabbits, or maybe two of the other rabbits, is also pregnant. I just can't remember which ones. I know Loki for sure, but one of the other ones, Rowan also bred. So we'll get back to that at a later date. I don't remember who Rowan does. I'll go ask him later. But for right now, I just want to talk about before you decide to start breeding. Okay, so most responsible rabbit keepers are either raising for show, for fiber, or for meat. Okay, we don't raise for meat, and I don't really have fiber breeds, but those are some of the reasons people raise rabbits as not pets. So, I mean, this is not about if you have a pet rabbit. Okay, I have pet rabbits as well. I mean, Gemini is, yes, she's part of my breeding pair, but she's also a pet. These guys are Rowan's pets, but these are show quality Rexes. So we typically breed for show, okay? Usually breeding at all, for any of these reasons, it involves enlarging and improving your fluffle, your herd, your group of rabbits, through intentional breeding. So not through, oops, somebody got pregnant. Through, I want to cross this doe with this buck because I want these babies. Okay? It is typically done to further the breed, or to get a good fiber, or to get a good meat rabbit. So before you decide to breed, you should do it with intention. Before you breed, come up with the reason why you're doing it. Big stretch. So why are you going to breed your bunnies? Are you doing it because you're going to try to breed for show? Then you're going to want some good conformation in your rabbits. Okay, you want them to look good. You want them to meet the standard of perfection. You want all of that good stuff. If you're doing it for fiber, do you have the right fiber breeds? If you're doing it for meat, again, not all breeds are suitable for meat rabbits. So my Holland Lops would make poor meat rabbits. They're very tiny. So you have to know why you're doing it. Fiber, for example, is not necessarily purebred breeding. Around here, fiber breeders are breeding right now Jersey Woolies to Angoras because they like the fiber that mix produces. So I'm not necessarily saying every single breeding has to be purebred, though it should be. For the most part, it should be. But sometimes you cross for fiber. Sometimes to get a really good meat rabbit, you might cross Flemish with New Zealand. If you're doing show rabbits, obviously that is definitely going to be a purebred because you can't show them otherwise. The other thing I've seen truly responsible breeders do is sometimes they're breeding because they want to create a unique blend. Now this takes a few generations, but maybe you want to breed something with the qualities of a Rex and also some of the qualities of a Flemish. Maybe you want to make your Rexes bigger, so you cross them to Blemishes and then you cross back to Rexes to get the Rex fur. It can get very complicated. But there are reasons to do non-purebred crossing. Not if you're breeding for show, though. Show breeders, they do need to be purebreds. Remember that. So if you do want to breed, you want to start with happy, healthy rabbits. Okay? You want to make sure they're not over or underweight. They have to have a good, normal weight. They have to be grown up. So you want, generally, depending on the breed, at least 6 months old. Larger rabbits takes longer to mature. So for small breeds, I do 6 months. Medium breeds, I do 8 months old. Large breeds, I do 10 months old. So make sure you're breeding at the correct age. You want your pair, your breeding pair, to be free of abnormalities. Okay? You want all of them, to be free of abnormalities, have no health issues, and if you're breeding for show, you don't want them to have any faults. So if you have a rabbit that has significant faults and won't do well in the show ring, don't breed that rabbit. They will throw those faults to their babies. When it's time to breed your rabbits, you should know that rabbits don't go into heat. Okay, they simply do not ever go into heat. That's not the way rabbits function. Hi, sweetie. So that is not how rabbits work. Okay, they don't go into heat. What they do is they're actually induced ovulators, which means the female releases an egg only after she's been mated. So only after the boy does his thing is she going to release an egg. That means you can actually time your pregnancies pretty well because you don't have to wait for them to go into heat. But there will be times when your doe just won't accept a buck. So if you try to breed your rabbits and your female just keeps saying no, so your girl just keeps saying, not happening today, buddy. She kicks them off, she bites them, things like that. Come back in 2 days and I'm sure it'll do much better. Why are you running around like a weirdo? You crazy? Andersen's crazy. Andersen's crazy, everyone. All right, that's fine. Hi. We're not going to worry about that. Anyway, so a couple of signs that your doe is kind of ready to accept a male. If she's kind of restless, if she's rubbing her chin on her feeder or on her cage bars or whatever, she's chinning is what it's called. If she's chinning everything, you might want to put her with a boy because it might be time. She might be ready. She might be accepting. Also, if you're not sure, you can actually check her vulva. You just lift her up, turn her over. If it's a reddish color instead of its normal pale pink, she's ready to accept a boy. Find your boy, get it going. A doe actually, so you're going to hear a lot about breeding your doe twice. I do that. So if I put Capricorn with Gemini at 8 o'clock in the morning, I put him back with her at around noon. Okay, so I breed twice, a rabbit twice, because rabbits have 2 uterine horns, and generally that means you can breed your doe twice and she can catch with 2 litters, sort of. Won't be 2 full litters. The chances of your rabbit having 2 full litters at the same time is pretty low because that can actually reduce the number of babies per horn if you mate twice, but you can do it. You can mate your rabbit twice. Now you can either do it to the same buck or to different bucks. The problem you're going to have is then you won't know who's the dad of each baby. So I don't recommend doing it to different bucks. I've seen people do it. You know, you would breed Loki to Twig and to some other rabbit that I don't have right now. But I've seen people do that. I don't recommend that because then you don't know who daddy is. Okay, it could be 1 of 2. So what I do is I breed twice to the same buck. If you're going to do that, it's important to do it in the same day. Because what happens is if she's carrying essentially 2 litters, she'll go into labor based on the first litter. So if you bred Loki today, and then you also bred her 3 days from now, her timing is going to be based on that first litter. So remember that rabbits are only pregnant for 31 days. And there goes Andersen. But rabbits are only pregnant for 31 days. Okay, that's it. Just 31 days. So because they're only pregnant for 31 days, the babies really do a lot of developing in that 31 days. 3 days makes a difference. So if you were to breed your rabbit on 2 different days, then what can happen is you'll lose the second litter. Because the second group of babies will just not be as developed. They will not be ready to be born. So I've seen people talk about, so if I breed her today, I can also breed her in 2 days. No. If you want to breed your rabbit twice, which is fine, a lot of breeders put her back with the buck. 1, it ensures she catches. 2, it can ensure a slightly larger litter. It's actually fine, just don't do it on different days. I have seen some people advocating for different days because they think you can get bunnies born on slightly different days. That's not going to happen. When your rabbit goes into labor, she's having her babies now, all of them. Even if some of them are a few days behind, so they won't survive. So if you are going to breed your rabbit twice, so you do want her to have a larger litter, you have to do it on the same day. So I would do it within 6 hours. I usually space my breeding 3 to 4 hours apart. Do it within 6. Okay? Any more than that, and you do risk having babies that are just not ready. They're just not ready to be born. So, with that said, think about why you want to breed, because that matters. If you know why you want to breed, then you'll know which rabbits to breed. Get yourself some healthy breeding stock. Evaluate demand in your area. You don't want to get stuck with a bunch of babies that you can't sell if you do want to sell them. Okay, we keep a lot, obviously. I mean, where did these guys come from? We have kept a few in the last year. So, yes, we keep a lot. But if you intend to sell, you might want to make sure that you sell based on demand in your area. So $20 cheap hybrid rabbits are not really going to sell well in most areas. I don't really like people doing that anyway for money. So what you really should do is evaluate demand in your area. If you want to be a show breeder, maybe look for a breed that's not entirely common in your area. We'll talk about showing rabbits at a different date, but honestly, showing them is not that difficult, and if you're the only one showing that breed, you've got a better chance than some of the other people out there. So think about why you're breeding, take care with your breeding, and make sure your does and your bucks are happy and healthy and old enough before you get started. That's about it for us here today in Andersen Acres. We'll see you tomorrow.